Hi guys, welcome back. So in today's video, I'm going to go through this quick snapshot of how to decide what budget and also what sort of bidding strategy you should go for. Let's just step back and say something like, what if your client or your manager asks you, I'm running a campaign and have this goal of whatever, $50,000 in revenue for the quarter. What is your marketing plan? What is your marketing budget? That's what we're going to cover off. But before we do that, I want to dive into, and by the way, we're going to also build an app. We're going to go and build a Lovable app straight after this. But before we do that, let's just do some theoretical stuff, just foundational stuff. So in order to determine if it's going to be a cost per click versus cost per impressions campaign, all depends on your ultimate strategy. But at the end, I also will show you a strategy where you combine them too. Okay, but let's just go quickly and just unpack what these are. So basically, a click per a cost per click is essentially that when somebody clicks onto your ad, you get charged. So it's really good, and you can set this. You can set also the cost per impressions. You can do them both in a sense. So there's no issues there, but that's why budgeting is going to be important, which we're going to cover off too. The actual cost per both of them are kind of influenced by the competition for that space, equally with the cost per impressions. So the first one I really like is that because it's demand gen driven, you're paying for leads that actually have some type of engagement. The other one is really based on for brand awareness campaigns because it's impression based. Basically, it's going to reach out as far as it can based on your audience size to get your ad there being displayed or the impressions being shown. So one has has great risk, lower risk because you got control over how much you want to spend, and you get real interest, right? Somebody clicks onto, you get paid for it. That's what you want, and especially if you have your target audience, ISP, very defined. And the other one is basically it's high risk because you don't, and you will soon see why, because you pay for the impressions regardless if the people click. So, but again, it has its own benefits from a brand awareness and reach perspective. So the last thing I just want to say, you have more control over cost per click. I'm not advocating either or, I'm just saying, and also versus in an impression-based campaign, which is moderate control. I mean, you can set the budget and the time frames of the campaign. So you have examples of platforms that you can use, search, LinkedIn, Google search, and you have Google display, and YouTube has it as well, and LinkedIn as well. You can actually create a impression campaign. Okay, so let's go into the budget, and we go into Lovable, and then my ultimate prompt for you to copy and use. So let's just zoom in here. These are just pre-fills. So let's just say you got a company for the quarter of $50 million. And the average deal size is about 150. So it's just a SaaS company, right? So it's a SaaS game. We've got and this is probably dependent on the strategic planning they've done, the company, you work for your client, or there's a runway hit goal that they need to hit because they're going to burn out the money. So it's a runway issue, or they have a hiring plan, so they know they're going to, they need to hit these targets because they've got a sales team coming in and so forth. So there's a lot of basically the end game here, the business at high level is deemed that this is our goal for the quarter is X, and so that the average deal size is about 150 for those deals coming in. So what you need, your goal really, and there's a formula conversion, right, is about 333 opportunities or leads that you need to get. The question is, where do you get these leads? How do you? And that's the focus on that, and of this video. And so once you determine that, you start seeing sort of our media spend and so many ad hoc expenses that we want to add into it, and then you have your return on ad spend, which we'll explain soon. So let's just say that from history or from benchmarks that in terms of contribution to the pipeline, to this number here, I don't know, 45% comes from 45% of your contribution leads come from your LinkedIn campaign. Now, LinkedIn, Google ad search. I'm going to make sure it's Google search. You get it. Well, what I mean by that is that Google, you in the past, you've run experiments that you discover that the best channel for you, it could be webinars, it could be LinkedIn campaigns. In this example, we just want to make it simple and say, okay, Google search ads have provided most conversion. So what it means is that if say 50% or 55 or 45% is coming from that channel, so your target goal for the conversion of this, so you can look at here, there's a percentage, it's going to be 150 is going to come from that channel there. So good, now I know what percentage I'm going to allocate and what I'm expecting as a target of our leads coming through. I also put in here, again, if you don't have this, you can see here, assumption based on budget, based on it's result driven. So this number typically, especially for impression campaign, is generated through results. When you run the results, you start seeing the engagement levels, and so that's what click-through rate is. So what from history, again, this could be from historical data that you've used for like past campaigns, industry benchmarks. Again, you can Google these, you can find benchmarks. So HubSpot has it, LinkedIn has it, and also Google search have their benchmarks for SaaS, for B2C, and so forth. So you can go down to industry specific. And in this case, I'll just put in 4%. And so now I see that I need, in order for me to get the 150, in order to get the contribute to the 333, I need to have at least 3,750 visitors to the site, because that's the conversion rate I have, 4%. You just look again. You can download this spreadsheet. That's the conversion rate. Now, not all of them are going to convert, right? Of those who visit it. So this is why the conversion engagement, the click-through rate is important. Again, you can see here for a search and benchmark, the benchmarks for the search, and I'm going to use 3.5% because that's in between there. Really, it's non-branded, so keyword, non-branded keyword. Of course, branded keywords will get higher because they're literally searching for your name. So in this case, I'm going to put in, I'm just going to expand this a little bit, 3.5. Okay, so now I've got my budget. So this literally adds up to, so if I can put it here, if I was just using that campaign, if I was, hey, what's a Google search campaign, that's going to be your total cost. Now I'm assuming also, see a budget, I'm assuming that I put in, the maximum I'm going to pay is $2 per click. Depending, again, you want to be below this, right? You don't want to be, like if I put in here, you're going to see that it's not profitable at all. Like just see, for example, you see there your return on investments is you're actually losing. So obviously this is good, you get a bit of insight. So you're not going to cost it at that. So maybe $5, but you also need to put in, like a couple $100 for maybe other creatives that you want to create, or you want to run experiments. You can put in there, maybe let's put in $200 there. All up, you can see here, it's a profitable campaign because you're going to bring in 150 leads from that contributing, and it's only costing you in total 18,000, way below the actual goal. So your return on ad spend is quite profitable. Oh, there you go, that's figure. So here's a quick snapshot of one channel, but we can add another channel, and that's the other example, which is the cost per million impressions. And I prepared one here earlier, of course. And now what I'll do is I'll just quickly put in some of these numbers. So I already have this from the previous campaign, right? I think, let me see what I've got, 4.4. Okay, 4.4. Right. and so this is the same one. You don't need to worry about. So this is for the display ads. Of you can use LinkedIn, for example, impression cost per impression ad if you wanted to. Again, I was going for consistency. So let's say now, in terms of conversion, again, look on history, look at benchmarks, your own experience. But from my experience, display ads have a low intent. This is high intent. That's why you get a lot of users coming in. But this is low intent because they see it in a display in your Gmail, for example, to see an ad there. So I'm going to put in just 5% from history. And that's sort of, a very modest amount. And the conversion for that, again, it's going to be really low. So I don't know, put in 0.5%. No, probably not even really. Again, you can use you can use your assumptions, benchmark, industry benchmarks, but it's going to be low. It's definitely going to be in the lower end. And so now what you have, let me just put this down here. If I put in here, if I'm saying 5%, okay, 5%. So my conversion, you can see here, my conversion is going to be this times my, I haven't got my data in, my spend. So this will be, I'll just do it live here, right here, times, that's the conversion. So that's the goal of this this channel. And so you can see quickly that you need, so even though you have 17 impressions, because of the low contribution and low conversion, you need like 3,000 equivalent to that. Now, again, like in cost per click, I can set it to $2, there we go, cost per clicking. And again, you can use benchmarks for your click-through rates. And because it's display network, it's pretty low. So I'm going to put in the 0.35%. Now, okay, so you go, wow, hang on a second. This is pretty good, actually. It's lower than my cost per click. But note that this is really one sort of campaign over one period of time, one impression, I guess, of a campaign. So typically you need at least 3 in terms of frequency. So this is really reach. You need 3 times of that, right? 3 times, but potentially with a low KPI, with a low contribution or low intent, you probably need even 4 times. So meaning that you need to run those ads for 4 months or 4 sequences. You can see here, it quickly adds up. Even though you started with 1 impression, 1 campaign that you run, especially if your audience size is, you need this much impressions, you're not going to cover that much population. So you need to run many times. At least, in rule of thumb is 3 to 4. So let's just say 4 times, right? So already you're hitting. I mean, even though you still, in terms of it's over profitable. This is going to become a very expensive exercise really fast, and so you use it wisely. You use it cost per impressions pretty wisely. Now I have a strategy for you where you can combine it. So what I think is that you use a cost per click campaign to run the campaign first. Get those use an impression first, okay. To build that brand awareness, go out there and then run a cost per click campaign after you run the display or your cost per impression, because you're going out there, people interact with that ad. Once they interact, they're essentially qualified. Then you do a retargeting using a cost per click. Okay, so in this case, it's still profitable, but like I said, it can quickly get into if you're running for 6 months to get that brand awareness, it's reducing its the cost per impressions is going down. Or you might say, hey, my goal is not 5,000. You can play around with this. It's the goal for the quarter is not 20,000. It's 20,000. Sorry, 15,000. And so forth. So you can see the laws, but the most important thing here, you can start seeing that this automatically updates accordingly. So it's a quite powerful tool to be using to help you inform what strategy you want to go for. So again, now we have kind of spreadsheet which you can download. The next thing is let's build something in capturing these requirements into a prompt. And I've done this prompt, so you can download this. We're going to go into, so this is basically covering off what we talked about, a growth calculator that allows us to, I talked about the look and feel. I talked about the steps, setting the goal, basically literally what we're going through with the spreadsheet, and the kind of model, it's a B2B or B2C, the channels, and added the costs like for any asset creatives that we want to add. And then I wanted it to be a step process. So here we go, a step process where you put in your goals and you put in your business model, the B2C, and then the channels, and then the final thing is cost. And then I want to also create a report. Okay, so that's what this is all about. And you can pause this video and then you can check it out. So what I'm going to do right here is going to my Lovable. Where is my Lovable? Boom. And pasting this. Let's see what happens. Okay. Hopefully this is, I haven't prepared anything. Okay. It might take a while, but I'm going to submit it. I'm going to pause, and when it's ready, you can see it's doing its thing. We'll come back to it. Okay. So this is going to be the Lovable version of what we've gone through. Back in a second. Okay, went back now. Oh, that took actually at least 5 minutes. Here we go. Whoa, this is cool. Okay, now let's preview this, right? Let's do this. And by the way, you can continue to prompt it and refine it and stuff like that, but let's just give it a bit of a play. So hopefully this works. Come on, download. Okay, so we can use the same principle. So if I said here, gold is 50,000 and average deal size is 150. So go here. There you go. So now B2C, B2B. So you can, again, my conversion there. Well, this is overall conversion. So let's just say overall going in is this. And you can see nice, exactly in the prompts. You can use a prompt, by the way. You can use a prompt. And so now you can add in, this is so cool. You can add in, so the contribution, remember we had there was 45. The conversion rate was, I think it was 4.5. The click-through, I said $2 there. $2, boom, okay. I'm gonna add that in. And let's see what's happened here. Oh, channel name. Oh, yes. So I'm going to say Google search. So cool. And we did it together like 5 minutes. 5 minutes. Okay. Add that. That's been added, and you can delete it. Fantastic. And I'm going to put in here a Google display ad. That's 5%. That's going to be really low point. And I'm going to put in $2 here, and it's going to be capped. So I'm going to add that as well. Okay, I mean, you can get the gift, right? Let's move my mouse. That 100%. Okay, I'm going to see. Okay, okay. Let's just say this is going to be. Yeah, it needs to. Oh, it's good validation too, huh? I'm going to put in here. Put in another one. No, maybe just put. No, actually, you know what? I'm going to put in 55, and just for simplicity. Okay. Okay. Let's put in my, I don't know, $500 worth of, fees, agencies, blah blah. You know what I mean. Now, and oh, my scenario planning. This is good. This is great if you're doing stuff with your finance team. To say, okay, give me your optimistic, or your realistic, or your pessimistic. This is freaking awesome. I mean, it's in the requirements, of course. Calculate, and there it is. There it is, dude. Look at this. This is your return on ROS. Amazing. Which one's more efficient? Key insights. So in this case, the search, display is killing it, but because again, this is a one scenario. Remember, but it gives you a quick, realistic, or gives you a quick summary. And I can continue to refine this in terms of what. I can go back and edit the plan, but this gives you a quick snapshot of how many leads you're expecting from the campaign, the total budget that you need to be allocated, your expected, which is too modest to be honest with you, return on ad spend. So I can continue to update this where I can say, what percentage of my contribution I can reduce these total leads, be fixed. And go back into the prompt and change that. But this is amazing in a short period of time, and I don't want to make this video too long, so I'd love to hear any comments. Follow and subscribe because I'm in the hood. Bye.